Greetings and salutations, BraveHearts and Coach-Madd-Hatters. And welcome to Team CMHU Situation Report titled Love Letter to Myself, Past, Present, and Future. Compliments and Compliments. In care of yours truly, Coach T. Marie Wiggins, also known as Skylar Indigo Inc., also known as the Golden Wildling. Drafted Saturday, July 20th, 2019, in honor of getting to know thyself and reconciling one's past, present, and future selves. The word self in this context is capital S, capital E, capital L, capital F, which is in conjunction of the sacred and or Sankofa energy life force. The situation report This situation report, as well as past situation reports, can be easily accessed by visiting our blog, which is on behalf of the story.blogspot.com. Again, on behalf of the story.blogspot.com. And so the session is an honorarium of self-study summits, as well as the Wounded Healer, and the Golden Chaos Magician. In campaign with the Coaching by Story efforts as an extracurricular activity for those within the arts, music, crafts, vocation, poetic justice, and the newly added tarot treasure troves. With that said, the tarot of the day has been chosen, and it's the Wheel of Fortune. And this is so that we can remind ourselves to seek the magic to seek the moment inside, to seek the magic inside the very moment. Dr. Brené Brown often lectures and speaks about the vulnerability of those that are proactively in the arena. And it truly is a tough place, a tough space to be positioned in. The Wheel of Fortune, in my purview, suggests that I include in my moments of contemplation my fate and my free will. That I am to exercise the powers of yes and, so that it may deliver me the opportunities that make it easy for me to count my blessings, as well as share in the tough and tender lessons per cycle, per season. And lean into the inspiration and anticipation and arrival of certain signs and symbols, as they will be transmuted into pure synergy that will help me decipher my sensations and my situations and stay right in that neutral medium and not lean in too much to one or the other, but maintain my balance. Our CMHU Self-Study Summit breakdown is as follows. 10% metaphysically, metaphorically speaking. 60% self-care, coaching tools and tutelage. 10% tarot treasure trove. And 20% coaching by story, song, conversation, dedication. Our intro to the second power personal developmental color code is black to go, which is in sheer honorarium of sacred alchemy, which is turning our lead-based situations into golden enlightenment and wisdom and clarity. Our keynote per Fortune's cookie is someone who deserves special attention awaits your magic voice. And I went as far as to add that someone just might be you. Which is purposely driven by my notions that our conversations with self are now taking the driver's seat, and it is very important that we indulge in this practice and dispel the the accusations of being crazy when we do or as we do. It is important that we bring into the space our voice. For generations, we've lived mainly as the voiceless. And when I say we, I mean those that identify as either a Braveheart or a Coach-Madd-Hattery. And to simplify what a Coach-Madd-Hattery is, it is the unofficial coaches that we find in our communities and in our neighborhoods that do not carry conventional coaching credentials, but within their conversations or within their living example, we find resolution and we find courage and accountability and response ability. They truly are the champions at responding to certain situations, circumstances, under dire circumstances most often. And because in this day and age, we carry the weight of wearing many hats, and it could be maddening sometimes. And so through experience, the Coach Mad Hatter is also the ones who somehow have mustered up the courage to get in the arena and proactively handle that shit. And so, from their firsthand experiences only, they offer us a wealth of knowledge in the categories of been there, did that, and got numerous freaking t-shirts. And some of them are even generous enough to loan you that t-shirt so that you too may muster up the courage to stand in your arenas and handle your shit. Our Conversation Shuffle is to be used as exclusive creativity stimulus. And what that means is that we are not visiting with these selections for pure entertainment or mere entertainment. I will go as far as to suggest that we sit in front of these selections with notebook and pencils and highlighters. And I say pencils because it gives us permission to erase. And it welcomes us to sit at ease, immune to mistakes. And I offer this as a true self-coaching exercise, mainly because It is the primal activity that encourages head, heart to head, to hand activity. Head, heart to hand activity. And if you're left-handed like me, it's a straight diagonal of energy from my right side of my brain through my heart into my left hand. And that's the way I view it when I write things down. And I am always writing things down. I truly am a journaler. I'm a note taker. I'm a keynote taker. In my humble opinion, each selection has its own message hidden within it, and it awaits us to investigate it and contemplate it. And this is with melody and lyric alike. Now, that's not to say that every selection that you encounter on this shuffle will be to your liking. Shucks, there may even be artists on this playlist that you've already deemed that you don't like or you're not into. If you will dispel that for a moment and just spend some time with it, you may be quite surprised. Now, if it happens that those that have been selected for this playlist shuffle, this song sensation creativity stimulus, then we are truly on the roll, because that means that we are like-minded and you are of my intellectual tribe. And if it moves you at any capacity as it moves me, then not only are we part of that tribe, but we're also of Soul Tribe. Inside this selection is a precise message for those seeking to get in the arena to write a love letter to self so that they may somehow reconcile their past, present, and future compliments and compliments. Our intrapersonal tarot treasure trove card draw is from the Jolly Staffers Oracle deck prototype that I am working to get commissioned. And in most of the situation reports, I've decided to do a card layout just as honorarium to that journey alone, which serves, if I may add, serves as symbolically serves as the divine holding my hand to experience certain achievements that's within the realm of my heart's desire, whether it's personal or professional. The commissioning of this card deck is personal and professional, which is that, not that, but it's what I like to call pro-personal, which is the combination of one's professional life and one's personal life. And I know with regards to contemporary means, conventional means, everything's compartmentalized and we are to keep our professional separate from our personal. But as a coach, especially as a coach of life and style and creativity, those lines become very blurred. And we usually find that our clients make very good friends and confidants and counselors. And it's not that I would ever want to keep them separate. As a hairstylist of 20 years, I don't think I've ever been in a position where I've taken up the cause to keep my personal life separate from my professional life. They've always blended, as well as working from home. It's always blended. It's always worked for me. I am a homemaker, and within the making of that home comes other adventures that I may explore. Creativity coaching goes very well in that order. So with that said, the 6-card draw, card number 1, what's in the way? Seeing this card is to automatically prompt an inner query as we utter softly ask self to assist with the bringing forth of important questions and answers. There are many that I have firsthand engaged in conversation with that seek the answers as the thing that they lead with. I think that that's important, but also just as important as is the questions that we lead with. I humbly believe that the unfolding, the precise, the specific unfolding of certain things is directly connected to the particular questions that we ask. And that within that question brings the level of power into the situation and determines the answers that will be unveiled. Card number 2, we are to meditate upon the moon so that we may begin to tap into those frequencies of intuition, faith, intentional serendipity, and sacred synchronicity. There's a TED Talk out by Corey Ford that specifically speaks about intentional serendipity, and he graciously interprets what that means for him and how it connects to his past, his present, and the forecasting of his future. One of my favorite TED Talks. It is posted on YouTube, and I invite you to go check it out. And a simple search, um, with intentional serendipity, I believe we'll have it pop up, but definitely intentional serendipity, Corey Ford, TED Talk. Boom, and you're in there. You're in the place. You're in the space. Check that out when you get a moment. Our intentional serendipity and sacred synchronicity is, if I may forewarn you, a very unconventional practice and awareness. But it is truly a magical outlook. So much so that it's powerful enough to turn our chaos golden. Meditating on the moon also will increase our honorariums of emotional intelligence, dream weaving, and astral aspirations. And astral aspirations can simply be looked at, considered that which is beyond our physical embodiment. Card number 3 is under the banner of vocabularies, which goes along to the explanation that I had given about the conversations and how we are to view it outside the realms of entertainment. And so vocabularies is this powerful concept that appeared in my head. It appeared in my head when I first began to utilize song as a creativity tool, and how it always seemed like if there wasn't a song playing in the back of my head that seemed like the soundtrack of my circumstances, I was always bumping into a song that truly related to what was going on and how um, the possibility, the potentiality that the divine was speaking through this song directly to me. Before this notion popped up, I would always view a song as if the girl is singing to the guy or the guy is singing to the girl, which gave me the out of not paying any attention to it. Post this popping into my head, it would show up to say, what if the divine is the one singing this? And that it's coming through a female voice because it's the feminine that's singing to you, and it's coming through a male voice because it's the masculine singing to you. Either way, yo, listen up. Either way, like how will you say, either way, yeah, we doing this either way. And that's how the term and the meaning that supports vocabularies came into play. It is truly inside the realm of metaphora, which will help us dispel our habitual approaches to literal thinking. We have to get back into metaphorically speaking. That's where the magic is. That's where the golden chaos magic reside. That's where the legendary lessons hang out. So card number 3 will ask when it shows up, it will ask us to customize certain definitions as it's surrounding our particular moment. So here we are to pay attention to our eureka and extraordinary moments. And if a song pops up while you're contemplating your eureka moments or your extraordinary moments, know that it is the divine. And yo, listen up and take that and ponder how to utilize certain inspirations so that they may further service your thoughts, your feelings, your intuition, and your infusions of synergy. Card number 4, the Empress. Meditate upon your effects to grow, mature, and uniquely create and or produce. It maddens me how we are stuck in the consumer phase when I honestly believe that we have all been seeded with certain levels and qualities to create and produce, and that we all have something to offer and share, especially as we begin to embrace our fate and our free will as a collective conscious, not an either or. So mote it be, we shall no longer have to choose whether we're going to contemplate something in the mindset of it being fated or being free willed. We're going to harmonically blend the two so that a symphony of synergy may be at our beck and call to pick from and utilize and be soothed by when we face life, work, style, study, purpose, passion, projects. Card number 5, intrapersonal research and development. That's the banner it's under. We are to contemplate the following. I am the one I've been waiting for. Dot, dot, dot. And I often give homage to Nadia at Unconditional Healing Tarot because she put the thoughts in the forefront of my mind about how it is that in moments when I'm waiting on someone else to do this, that, or the third, or I'm waiting on someone to say this or that, that I'm the one that should actually be stepping up to adhere to that want, that desire, that expectation. And that's not to say that others will not come through or come true and join in the effort, but I am to always lead the cause. So an honorarium card number 5 was produced. I am the one I've been waiting for. And this particular card asks us to meditate and or affirm for at least 21 days, to journal the journey and see what bubbles up. And I'll take it even further to out loud ask yourself, what if I'm the one I'm waiting on? Now, I will honestly tell you, engaging in such activity is a bit scary. It is. And so, with that said, I caution you to what's the word I'm looking for? I'm cautioning you to not drop into the belief that you have to go at it alone. Magically, when I have had to use this for my own processing, those that were in tuned with that, they showed up without me even having to ask, without me having to inquire. That was the magical instance. That was the divine timing at play. And so to get us in use of and to begin to dispel certain mental breaks or even certain mental grooves, certain emotional grooves without taking any honorarium from tribe or community. I suggest that we just softly begin to meditate and affirm for 21 days and see how it works out. Your journal will speak to you. It will speak to you. And it may not speak to you immediately, So I also suggest with this that you revisit with past entries, because I'll write something and then a week or two of life will need to unfold. But when I go back to it, it's like, okay, I get it now. Journals in their own right are such magical creatures. So card number 6, investigate the powers of Oshun. So journal the journey and possibly compose a love letter to the goddess of purity, love, fertility, and sensuality. Now, I know within this session, we are specifically talking about a love letter to self for the sake of reconciliation, emotional and intellectual reconciliation. But a letter to the goddess has never hurt. Because then what you will find out is that your infusions of pure thought and unconditional love and harvesting fertility and all sorts of just lovely sensuality will come into play. And it will be for your usage so that you may have a more elaborate experience, if you will. And so now, folks, we get into it. And so buckle up. Keep all hands and body parts and all that inside the carriage. Inside the chariot. We are now on the move. This letter is a letter that I created that is an official letter to myself. And so I share this for the simple reason of being in the arena. The content is highly personal, but also can be served as a professional construct to aid those along whom are also in the arena and actively engaging in a courtship with self. And so as I read this, I invite you to connect with it so that at best you will maybe get some ideas on how you can approach your letter with self if you haven't already. So here we go. Dear self, this letter is arriving to report, reconcile, align, and make peace, mind, body, and soul, for the sake of inner healing, interpersonal creativity and development, plus the pursuit of supreme individuality. There has been so much unfolding over the past 18 months that I can barely keep my focus faithful. But despite of this, or maybe because of it, I won't lose hope of the dream positive visions that dance between the corridors of my heart and my head. I wish to purposely reconcile my past, the good, the bad, and urban ugly, and seek out the balance enfolded within my present so that I may confidently access the fields of my fortune's future. The realization and actualization of you shall ultimately satisfy this presently enormous feat. I am also seeking to fulfill my greatest heart's desire by realigning the relationships between my growing godlings, evolutionary muses, and invisible guides, as they are the source of my well being and the only reason for existing. This is especially for my three godlings, aka my children, because honestly, I miss them terribly. All sacrifices were made so that I would become amidst the best version of matriarchal love with unconditional tendency. In this present moment, I tussle with the urge to deem my attempts a failure. It's been such a wrinkle in time. There was a time, not so long ago, when Big Mama and her infamous Sunday dinners, the gatherings was a cherished thing. I miss mine so much it aches. I wished to embody this energy and keep it alive. My aim has always been, and forever will be, to grow into the example my godlings can uniquely be proud of. I know I am, I know we are, being challenged to love differently and go toward the versions of self that speak the most authentic truth, plus display a progressive balance of intuition, feelings, thoughts, and synthesized synergies. Keeping in mind and heart, I often ponder C.G. Jung's quoted concept. The aim of one's life, psychologically speaking, should not be to suppress or repress, but to come to know one's other side, and so both to enjoy and to control the whole range of one's capacities, i.e., the full sense to know oneself. It has been an awfully long journey, and for the most part, it's been filled with sifting through the tough and tender of my troubles and triumphs. Because surely not all of my life, work, study, style, passion, purpose, and or projects have been influenced by trauma and turmoil. It's also been equally tender discovering how my faults could possibly have gifts attached to them, dwelling within my inner time and space. The tussle to face off with my fears and reconcile my individuality has been remarkable to say the least. Having to enter into my own customized twilight zone, reclaim my courage, and forgive what has long felt like life altering mistakes and foolish scatterings leaves me pottered for a pursuit that shall transcend this reality. I am delighted to report I have indeed emotionally and intellectually traveled the last 10 years, 5 months, and 11 days along the trajectory of Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. In 2009 is when I received the initial call, as you know, to leave my ordinary existence, which I immediately ignored. But eventually, I gained the acquaintance of several mentor-like individuals who convinced me to accept the mission to spiritually and metaphorically rescue my childlike empress from the devastating clutches of the nothingness. Upon crossing the threshold of this fear-riddled quest, I encountered all sorts of testy situations, which included allies and enemies alike. At the sixth degree, I staggered into my innermost cave of reflection and experienced harsh ordeals of self imposed rejection, indications of vacant esteem, and an ultra positive, I'm sorry, indications of vacant, indications of vacant esteem and false visions of a foreshortened beeline leading into an ultra positive, successful livelihood. The assumptions of this ultra positive, successful livelihood seemed to reveal the most of my character flaws, as I wanted to quickly hop, skip, and jump into this newness. When it never materialized, my plan started to look and smell like Swiss cheese, which amplified my lacking notions of self worth. It took me a long time to regain the courage to continue this journey. I lost faith in my ability to overcome and became impatient with the seemingly prolonged return on my quest-like investments. Because of this, I spent unnecessary time hosting pity parties and applying for various job positions that to this day I've never gotten a response from, thus sending me tumbling into such a sunken place, a place I now identify as hell, for which I have plenty t-shirts. But while in this place, something remarkable took root. I got the chance to live with my dad, something I hadn't had much of during my childhood. My troubled heart finally felt safe, and the stampeding of misery was forced to retreat. So, I graciously seized the opportunity to begin my scholarship within the inner healing realms of life coaching and incubate my inner light while under the caring tutelage of my dad and my stepmom's love and support. In 2011, I latched onto the pursuit of creative writing as a coaching elective. And by the turn of 2013, I was well on the path to accomplishing this goal. But the decision to return to my mom's to satisfy a need of her not living alone during her elderly years put a pause on this pursuit, which proved to be timely since most of my siblings were contending with 9-to-5 work schedules and intertwined with all sorts of grown folk business. I regard this particular time as step 10, the road back. And even though this return to my mom's provoked all sorts of deeply rooted childhood trauma, it was such a necessary occurrence, as we had no idea she'd be diagnosed with throat cancer and would be amongst the ancestors within 2 years. The high sight of this raw truth keeps me humbled about time and its non-refundable policies. Various issues had to be hashed out in order for the time ahead to heal properly. Reflecting back, my mom's transcendence in September 2017 thrust me into step 11, the resurrection. Riddled with silent grief, I found myself facing a dilemma which landed me in my daughter's second bedroom and leaving the rescue mission of my childlike empress damn near abandoned, which by then had become intertwined in my professional dream weaving. I was emotionally stumbling from day to day with the shame of moving from my mom's into my daughter's without much of a strategy as to how I was going to phase out of my projected sorrows and get back to my rescue mission and professional pursuits. My capability to sustain myself was seriously in question. Amazingly, I went into a severe mode of quietude. I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to depict the details regarding the war that was being waged within me. But for now, I'm calling it the wild unknown versus the never ending story, with me precisely in the middle of a five-pointed star lens, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, and financially. This intense mental and emotional activity went on for several months, leaving me anxious and riddled with uncertainty. So much so, I've established a newfound respect for those disciplined in the arts of solitude and psychic warfare. I giggle at the honesty of being pushed into this art by way of having no means to mingle, coupled with high levels of madness and emotional mayhem. And yet again, the remarkable happened. And I was actually living within one of my wishes. I got to be in my baby girl's presence on a daily basis. My grief almost robbed me of this somewhat unconventional yet invaluable instance. So, with this gratitude attached, my curiosity once again started leaping at the command of my inner voice. The invitations were to seek out what it truly means to know thyself and acclaim my uniqueness as a hot commodity of multi-dimensional magic, which quickly proved beneficial. Because of this, I was led across many intellectual summits, like the detailing of my birth chart and my life path calculation, which identifies as the number 7, the seeker. Learning this seriously charged my motivation, and it wasn't long before I found myself back in stride again with my pursuit to rescue myself alongside, alongside professionally transmuting my experience into a private practice with comprehensive, marketable components. At the start of 2019, I became obsessed with combining holistic healing, astro alchemy, pro-personal creativity, sacred serendipity, plus developmental narratology, also known as coaching by story, as a viable business constitution. With this said, I am more than positive I have reached step 12, the return with life's elixir. The road to one's individuality is such a customizable gesture of sacred alchemy, and I finally touched upon my own. T-shirts will be delivered soon. Yes, I know the journey continues, and at best, I faced the phoenix and have gained my rites of passage towards the newer version of me, myself, and I. To conclude this love letter, I offer a passage from James Allen's As a Man Thinketh, page 17. Just as a gardener cultivates his plot, keeping it free from weeds and growing the flowers and fruit which he requires, so may a man tend the gardening of his mind, weeding out all wrong, useless, and impure thoughts, and cultivating toward perfection the flowers and fruits of right, useful, and pure thoughts. By pursuing the process, the man sooner or later discovers that he is the master gardener of his soul, the director of his life. He also reveals within himself the laws of thought and understands with ever increasing accuracy how the thought forces and mind elements operate in the shaping of his character, circumstances, and destiny. Lastly, I thank you kindly for keeping my patience from completely fleeing the scene, especially during those moments when I had nothing else to hold on to. I also thank you for those whose shoulders upon which I stand. Their generosity is way overdue and deserves respectful reciprocity. With respect to the timeless lessons I've encountered, I shall be forever in your debt for quietly guiding me upon the paths leading to their acquaintance. The rescuing of our childlike empress is such an invaluable and irreplaceable experience. And if I ever lose sight of me, or better yet, we, again, at best, I will have the maturing wisdom of this Shiro's journey and rescuing mission as a blueprint. P.S. Thank you for my intro to the second power treasure troves and the host of light workers studying within the realm of astral alchemy. I have recently appointed myself an unofficial tarot teaching tribe of 7 lady light workers. Please keep them in teaching comfort, as they have contributed immensely to my energy-based scholarship and inner healing practices. My challenges to shift my emotional paradigms and honor my balance more so than my boundaries is cultivating nicely because of their authentic patience and transparency. They are my friendly reminders to heal from the inside out, to meditate and breathe during intimate transitions and transformations, and to observe with objectivity. I am gaining rapid surety when tapping into into my astral alchemy, because they are due diligently tapping into theirs. Thank you for our story. I love you to the moon, the sun, and beyond our infinite rising. Sincerely, your Capricorn Sun, Virgo Moon, and Virgo Ascending. Well, that's it, folks. Thank you so much for listening. I adorn your presence, and I wish you well.